I'd be like, oh, she hasn't updated her wardrobe since 2008. Okay. Billy, why are you sitting on my desk? Is that where you're supposed to sit when I film? Hey besties, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. And today I decided I wanted to do a sit down video. It's been a long time since I thought of a creative idea to just like sit down and chat with you guys. Like I feel like lately I've mostly been doing vlogs and hauls and wrap-ups and just sort of like the typical staple booktube videos. But today I was like, you know what? I have some things to talk about. I have some very particular bookish pet peeves that I would like to discuss. So as some of you may know, I like to read a lot of romance books. But I have a lot of issues with the romance genre. I can overlook a lot of this most of the time, but every once in a while, these things really weigh on me and cause me to not like a romance book. So I just thought I would share all of my things that I absolutely hate in romance books, like my bookish pet peeves regarding romance, just things that make me go, no. Hopefully some of you can relate to this list and you'll agree with me, and if not, we can discuss it in the comments. But yeah, let's just get into this list of things that I just absolutely abhor in romance books. Sorry to interrupt this video, but I'm just popping in to say that this video is being sponsored by our lovely friends at Book of the Month. If you haven't heard of Book of the Month, I don't know where you've been, because it's very popular. Everyone's talking about it. It's all the rage. It's a super fast growing online book service for readers like you and I. And the way it works is every month their team vets hundreds of new and early release titles, and they choose only the best for you and I to pick from. And what's really nice is every single month you get to choose if you want to have a credit. So if it's ever a situation where you don't have it in the budget or you're just not loving their selection, you can just skip. And another really fun thing is that their hardcovers are amazingly priced. And also, if you don't like the selection, but you don't want to skip, you can also pick from books that they have like kind of backlisted, like from other boxes in the past. I know this because I'm actually a paying member of Book of the Month. As you can imagine, I did skip this month because they sent me the box, so thank you, Book of the Month. But normally I pay. I use my hard-earned cash to pay for Book of the Month. That's how much I believe in it. And I actually used a credit when I first signed up to get a copy of No Exit. I have it up here on my shelf because I really wanted a hardcover version of No Exit and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I realized that Book of the Month had it, and that's how I discovered that you could buy books that they've had previously, which is super exciting and super nice. I personally just used a skip with no penalty because Book of the Month was so kind and they sent me all of the books for this month, and I'm really excited about a lot of them. The one that I'm most excited about is A Book of Night by Holly Black. This is her debut adult fantasy novel, and I've been loving adult fantasy lately, especially urban fantasy, and I think this is urban fantasy, so I am living for it. Also, I love the cover. I love this like celestial moment. If you're interested in signing up for Book of the Month, you should use the code GOMAY to get your first book for $9.99. And like I said, I'm a paying customer, and so this is a real testimonial. I mean, they are paying me for this video to talk about them, but I pay on my own time when I'm not working with them, so. So the first thing that really irks me, when there's a huge emphasis on how small the female character is and how big the male love interest is. Like it's all, she's just so little, she's so tiny, she's 5 feet tall, she's just a little itty petite little baby. And they're like, oh, he's so large, he's over 6 feet tall, towering over her. I feel like there's a weird obsession with tiny girl, big guy, and I really don't enjoy it. Because number one, doesn't really leave a lot of room for like body diversity, and number two, most women are like 5'5". That's really not that short. Like even if I'm 5'4", and even if I was dating a guy that was like 6 feet, it really wouldn't feel that crazy different. Like my boyfriend is 5'10", so he's not like the tallest guy in the world, but I definitely feel that he's taller than me, but I'm not like, oh my God, he's towering over me. Like, I don't know. I have dated people who are over 6 feet and that does start to feel really tall, but most men are not over 6 feet. For any of us that have been on dating apps, men are claiming to be 5'11" or 6 feet. They're normally like 5'9" or 5'10". Like a lot of men are very average height. And so I'm kind of over this whole, he's just so tall, he's so large. And then the girl's always just like this little like Polly Pocket that he can just like carry around. It's not giving what I want to see. Like I just want normal characters. So this easily segues me into my next pet peeve, which is when everyone in the novel is too conventionally attractive. I don't know what it is about romance authors, but they have a fascination with men being celebrity level hot. Like, the men are always described with having like rippling muscles and a six-pack, and like they'll always be like, oh, they had abs on abs on abs. And it's really bizarre because I feel like for the female gaze, that's actually not what I personally am interested in. And then I feel like always the girls are like supermodel pretty. They're like, oh, they're shining hair and they're very thin physique, and it's kind of boring because I feel like 99.9% of the books that I'm reading are like this, where it's like they don't look like normal people. Like, I want to read about someone with like a fucking widow's peak and some rolls on their side, and I want to read about a guy with like a dad bod. Like, I don't want people to be so hot. Like, I can go watch a Hollywood movie if I want to see really hot people. And also, call me a bitch for saying this, but every time I look up what a romance author looks like, every time I see a photo of them, they don't look like their characters. Like, they typically look like very average, normal looking people. Like, that's not to say that they're ugly, but they don't look like supermodels. They don't look like, you know, fucking Zoe Saldana. They look like normal people. And I'm like, why would you write a character that you can't even relate to? It's almost like you're projecting. Like, you want to look like these people, so therefore you're gonna write about super hot people. And I guess there's a time and place, because there might be times when a certain romance book is very steamy and you might want everyone to be like hot as fuck, but like, sometimes I just want to read about some nice, wholesome, normal looking people. This leads me into my next pet peeve, which is when authors mention eyes too much. I'm going to hold up The Spanish Love Deception as an example, but in that book, she mentioned, I'm not joking, like every other paragraph, she mentioned the love interest's blue eyes. Like, if I had an ebook copy, I would actually search to let you know how many times she used piercing gaze, eyes, orbs, like his blue orbs, his piercing blue stare. Like, ugh, it's such a thing in romance books. It's actually a thing in fantasy books as well. I just don't like the overuse of the color of people's eyes, and their eyes are always like blue or green. And I have blue eyes, but like, not everybody has blue or green eyes. And then the next one is descriptions of clothing. And this is especially for contemporary romance, because fantasy romance, sure, you want to describe people's clothes because you're like world building and it's like a whole thing, like they might be dressing differently. But in contemporary romance, I don't know if the romance authors are just not stylish themselves, but the clothes that they describe these girls wearing is always so disgusting. Like, it'll literally be like, I threw on my navy blue cotton jersey swing dress and put on my silver gladiator sandals. Why did you just describe a mom and an MLM? Like, why are they dressed like that? Like, why are they shopping at Kohl's in like the old lady section? Like, I don't need to hear about their clothes, because more than not, it's going to age your book. I mean, I will make an exception for like if there's a scene where they're going to like somewhere really fancy and she like puts on like a ball gown or like a dress for like a gala or something. Like, that typically is okay, because it'll be like, oh, she was wearing like a sleek red long dress with like a slit. Like, that's fine. But it's whenever it's like the everyday clothes, like I don't want to hear about their silver gladiator heels, because it actually makes me feel ill. Another thing that I hate from romance authors is when the lead female character is very obviously a self-insert. Like, they'll write a female character that's like, I love like wearing my sweats and like curling up on a Saturday and like reading a book, and no men ever give me attention. I'm so single and I love books and I have a book blog. Like, I feel like whenever you write characters like that, it's very obvious that you want the readers to relate, like you're writing about me or you. And I'm not saying this is always bad, like this can be done well, but there was a time in romance where I feel like this was like the main archetype of the women that were being written. So I don't know if anyone can relate to that one or if anyone agrees with me, but I've definitely read books like that where I'm like, I feel like you wanted to roleplay for a little bit and write about yourself in this book. And then next up, we have men getting erections at really weird times. Listen, I know biologically men get erections random times all throughout the day. Like, my boyfriend has told me before that he'll literally be like reading emails and just randomly have an erection. Like, I understand that the pee-pee does whatever it does and that that's normal. That does not mean you have to write that into the book. I like literally hate when it's like, he gazes at the female character and then it talks about his cock twitching. She was just looking at you. And again, even if this is realistic, even if that really happens to men, I don't want to hear about it. The next thing on my list is dialogue. And I very specifically mean this for contemporary romance, but the dialogue at times feels like a war crime. Like you're subjecting me to listening to people talking in a way that literally no one talks. Like it'll be like when the characters are like, hey girl, you look fire emoji. You should go hit on that hunk. Like literally no one talks like that. Like why are you writing your characters? It's giving me secondhand embarrassment and I'm not enjoying it. And that leads me to the next thing that seems to find its way into dialogue, and that is the word baby. I cannot stand the word baby. I'm not against pet names, like as a general rule. Like if it's a cute name, like he's calling her love or honey or something, it can be fine. But specifically the word baby gives me the ick. It gives me secondhand embarrassment. It makes me feel gross. Like I just hate the word baby, especially when it's used during a sex scene. And maybe this one is a personal one. I just don't like the word baby. I'm just not vibing with it, especially in the sex scenes, especially then. I'm just like, don't say anything, actually, please. Because that kind of leads me to my next one, which is dirty talk. I will completely own that me not liking dirty talk is a personal thing, because I know that a lot of people like that in their sex life, even in real life, that is realistic. But the way that it's done in romance books sometimes is so cringy. Like the way it'll be like, baby, like put my cock in your mouth. I'm just like, I want to laugh sometimes. Like it takes me out of the smut scene for them to be so like, get on your knees. Which, okay, I'm not saying that can't be hot. There are times where it's done well, but I feel like 9 times out of 10, it comes out of nowhere. Like it doesn't even make sense for the characters. So I'm just telling you, use the word baby and use dirty talk and I'm out. I'm out. I don't like it. And again, I'm not trying to go overboard and say they can't say anything during sex. It's just a personal preference. Like even in my normal sex life, I don't like to talk a ton during sex. So it kind of transfers over into what I like reading. The next bookish pet peeve I have is diet culture. And this is a topic that I feel like could be discussed for any genre of book or literally any form of media. Diet culture is something that permeates like every aspect of society. So it's not a surprise that it ends up in our books. And specifically what I'm talking about with diet culture in romance books is I feel like they always write these female characters that are super thin, but then they'll be like, I love eating dessert. But then when they eat a brownie, they'll be like, oh, I shouldn't eat a brownie. I've had 2 brownies today. Oh my God, I'm so bad. Not to say that if you're thin, you don't have a real body, because you do have a real body, obviously, like body acceptance on all levels. I'm just saying like most people are not a size 2. And I feel like that's what they're writing in books. And then it's like the dialogue around food is always like very negative, or like they're not even eating that much in the book. Or if they are, they're talking about carbs, or like they're buying diet food. Like I feel like I could do a whole video about diet culture in books, but I think I would need more time to like find examples and kind of make it almost like a video essay to talk about it. But I just feel like it's just something that's always present. This is another thing, sorry, this is related. Why do all characters in contemporary romance love to go running? Why are they running? Where are they going? Why are they running? I have never liked running a day in my life. And I know that a lot of people like running, but maybe I don't want to read about characters that like to run. And my final pet peeve that I put on this list is jobs in romance books. I am begging romance authors, for the love of God, if you have never worked a corporate job, please don't write about characters doing those jobs. Like every time I read a female character being in marketing and they write things like, oh, she was deciding what font they were going to use on a flyer, I'm like, that's literally not what the director of marketing would be doing at a company. Or if you like write that they're an engineer and you don't specify what type of engineer they are, and then the rest of the book you're very vague about what that means, but you also write about the character being poor, but that doesn't make any sense, because if they were some sort of like software engineer or something, they would be making like minimum like 6 figures. Like if you just don't understand how jobs work because you've never worked one, please don't write it. Just don't write it. I very specifically get annoyed by when people write about tech, because I am a product designer, I'm a UX designer, I design apps for a living. And so when you write about an app and the way that the company is run makes literally no sense, it annoys me. Or like if you refer to a software engineer as a coder, I'm just like, that's literally not what we call them. We call them developers, or we call them software engineers. Like we do not call them coders. I'm just like, please stop making your girlies be in marketing unless you literally knows what's going into marketing. Or ask someone, Google it, like find a way to explain it. It's like how people have been talking lately about everyone who says they're a consultant. It's like, what is a consultant? What does a consultant do? We don't know. Let us know what you do and make it natural in the book. I feel like I've been very repetitive in this video because I'm just ranting about things that I don't like, so I feel like I'm not that eloquent right now. But let me know down below if you relate to anything on this list. If I think of any more things, maybe I could do a part 2, or maybe I could do it for different genres, like things that I hate in fantasy books or sci-fi or like horror thrillers, like that kind of thing. Let me know if you just want to see more versions of this video or a part 2 of this. And let me know, please, like what are your pet peeves down below, because I feel like you could probably say things that annoy me too that I didn't think of, and we can just discuss it in the comments. But But yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this sit down video. It's been a while since I did one like this. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. You're all beautiful. Have a nice day.